Hello there guys, my name is Jay or the A, and this isn't the third time I've had to try and record this because the thing's breaking. So, welcome back to another episode of Space Engineers, obviously. And what are we doing today? Well, I said screw looking at Spotlight stuff for now because I want to show you guys something that I've been working on for a little while. And it's this. Now what is this? This is what I'm calling Project Seabird, which, don't ask me why, it's just a code name for whatever bollocks that I was thinking of at the time. But yeah, so this ship is designed to be a long distance cargo and civilian transporter, like a ferry, and it's massive and there's loads of cool little features on it, and I really do like what I've done with it, and I think it's probably one of the better vanilla ships I've built, especially in terms of features. So what does it have? It has 8 escape pods, which are nicely tucked away, and they work quite well. And it also has an open and closable hangar bay, which is also pressurizable, so you can you can make it airtight and everything else, so you can allow people to walk in and out of it freely and whatever else. It has loads of other things, including sort of dorm rooms or cabins for people to stop in while they're traveling, and just loads of other general stuff. So I'll give you just a flyover and a fly around of the ship, and this is it. Now it is very hydrogen hungry, granted, because I've had to use hydrogen because hydrogen can move this amount of blocks. I found that trying to have more ion and atmospheric didn't really work too well, and believe it or not, all of the hydrogen thrusters are indeed all connected up by connectors, which was an absolute ball ache to do, and it's been a bit of a puzzle trying to get them all to fit in and make it look nice. But I actually think I've done a pretty good job, because I like the way the thrusters look, and they're just tucked away quite nicely, and it does actually land on this planet down here and take off again and get back up into space, which is something that really is needed, especially for a ship of its kind. So yeah, the landing gears are nothing special. They're just standard landing gears inset by one block, so it sits right, and the actual landing ramp, the sort of the hangar ramp and stuff actually come to a similar height, so it's all sort of level, which is good. Now let's go inside, because inside we have this, as I've already said, this ramp, and what this does is it leads you into the main cargo bay. And there is a bit of a joggle there in the step. That is because of the system I've got in here for the actual ramp, and it has to be a bit lower to curve up properly. And then I've basically made the floor a little bit higher so I can put the doors in. And yeah, so essentially what happens is the ramp folds up, the signs turn off, the lights turn off, and then it pressurizes. And I'll actually show you that now by pressing the close button, and this is all just done by timers. In fact, it's 2 timers for the opening and 2 timers for the closing, so I've just got different things set to turn on and off at one point. So what I've got here is I've actually got the ramp that reverses, and then I've also got those 2 arrows that turn off to indicate you can no longer board the vessel. And then after a while, after about 25 seconds of that ramp lifting up, the lights turn off and then it will pressurize. So that will close, and then there we go. So lights have gone off, and it there pressurizes the main hangar area, in which, if you see up here, we have the air vents. We have 4 of them in here because it is quite a big room, and they just push through oxygen into the area. So yeah, this is it. We have 4 connections for land vessels, so cars or mining vessels, little things like that. Personal ships that people want to bring with them, and all that other stuff. So it's quite a big, roomy area, and it's asymmetrical as well in the way that you get up to the other levels. So what we'll do is we'll head up here and we'll go into engineering. Engineering really is quite a boring place at the moment. I really wanted ladders, so I could put some ladders here and then perhaps have a walkway at the top that you could get to. But again, ladders don't exist anymore in Space Engineers, which is very sad. Bring back the ladders. Ooh, just wean myself back in there. And yeah, So I just need to put some more bits and bobs of detail in here, make it look a bit more busy. But this is where you overlook what's going on in the hangar, as well as some of the other general ops and monitoring reactors and fuel and other things like that. So it's a small room, it's tucked away, but I like where it's placed because that is where the main propulsion comes from the ship. So that's it. That's a good position for it to be in. So we'll push past the escape pods because I don't want to show you guys them yet, because we will need to re-rotate the ship closer to the planet so we can actually test them properly. And yeah, we have the med bay in here. We have the living quarters through that door, and then we have 4 doors for the escape pods. Now we do have a bridge across the hangar, which is purely for getting from one side of the room to the other, because if there's no escape pods in this side, you might need to run across and get into this side and actually, you know, pick one from there. So that's the reason why it's there, and it helps out because you can't physically, if you were to walk down here, walk past all this, you can't physically get round to there because of the staircase being in the way and because it's blocked off. So that's why it's there also, so you don't have to walk the extra couple of meters, which again is good, and I can just cross over here and then walk and get to the med bay, which is great. The med bay is massive, and it is probably one of the biggest med bays I've had to put into a ship. It consists of 3 cryopods and 2 med bays overall, with some seats and some other bits and bobs in, just to make it look a bit nicer and fill out the spaces a bit better. And it looks nice. I like it. I like it. And we've also got these windows that view over the ramp and everything for the hangar, which does look pretty cool. So let's go into the living quarters, which, when we open this door, we'll be greeted with these tables, and these tables are just here for civilians to use for general purpose. They're not really that special at the moment. There's a couple more blocks and colours need to be added to them to make them look a bit better and a bit more detailed. Maybe some yellow in from the you know, like the conveyors have got in this, just to match up a bit better. But no, I like them. They're all right. They could do some work, but I just wish Space Engineers had tables and stuff, and you know, things like that, because ships like this would benefit from it, and stations would as well, and there's loads of possibilities for it. So hopefully one day Keen will hook up with Eckester, sorry, and actually you know, put some of his mods into here, because I think they'd be really beneficial. So pushing on down, we have the largest corridor on the ship, which is very open plan. There's lots of room, and it's very roomy and light, and there's lots of windows and things. And we have the dorms on the right hand side. The dorms, there's 4 of them. They can house 2 people each. You could probably fit some more in as well, to be honest. There could perhaps be like a chair here maybe, and a chair here, but I'm happy with the space taken up here. I don't want to make them too crowded, but you know, they're quite cool. They have their own light switches as well, so you can turn the lights on and off. I have just noticed one thing that I am going to change and save. That button is meant to be yellow, and it isn't. So there we go. Let's make a save now, and we'll head on out of here, and then we'll go into the main important part of the ship, which is navigation and the bridge and the jump drives and all that other good stuff. So as you come through the door, we've got this room here, which is, again, as I said, navigation. This is you've got your operations guys here who control some of the, you know, the life support systems on the ship and whatever else. We've got some tables here. We probably need to put some screens up and things, just to make it look a bit busier. And then we have these 2 guys here that would overlook the mapping room to B, which will be below, and there'll be like planets here and stuff and all that other cool stuff, and these guys will basically be telling the pilot where to go and helping him navigate through solar systems. So let's go to the staircase, which again, asymmetrical. It's not the same on the other side, so we've just got this one set of staircases. So if we go up, we head to the bridge, and if we go down, we head to the mapping room that you saw from you know, from above. But we're going to go up for now, and we're going to head up into the bridge, which is a very, very open and airy place. Lots of windows, and you've got the pilot that would sit here and control the ship. He's got some screens here that I need to put some scripting onto, so it shows the ship speed and all that other good stuff. And yeah, it's got just quite a good viewing arc. But the one thing I've had issues with is trying to allow visibility downward, because of having stuff tucked underneath this. So if we actually crept over the front of this, well, basically it all still slopes down and there's still stuff going on, so you can't really put windows below because it wouldn't help anyway and you won't be able to see much. So I think I'm going to have to put some cameras around this ship so you can fly it a bit easier. But we've then got the general ops that are in the black chairs around the side, and then we have the captain who would sit here in his blue chair just telling them what to do and making sure that the ship is flown where it needs to go. And it doesn't look like the comfiest chair, and I think for a captain he deserves a bigger chair, but there isn't one in vanilla, so we just had to deal with that. It kind of looks a bit puny in comparison to everyone else's. So got some of the programmable blocks here, which I'm going to be using to put some scripting in, like M-Master's LCD scripting, just so we can again put speeds, times and dates and things like that on the boards. And then we have the cryo chambers for the staff on this side of the ship. So the staff on this side of the ship would be predominantly workers, so there wouldn't be civilians. So this would be sort of off limits to them, and this is where the crew for the ship would, you know, go into cryo sleep if they needed to, or if they were doing shifts, you know. So that's quite cool. I wanted to keep that separate just so they've got their own space. There is no actual crew quarters though, so there isn't anywhere for the crew to physically sleep. They're just, you know, supposed to go in cryo sleep whenever they can. So that's how that works, I guess. So mapping room, really big room. What I want to do with it is I want to put a projector block in the middle, and well, I want to put like a rotor in the middle, and then I want to put like 3 or maybe 4 projector blocks, and then have a big planet in the middle and lots of moons and stuff, and then have them on permanently to project, and then you'll have this really cool looking solar system looking thing. The reason why I wanted this room is just because of looks, and I thought it looked quite pretty, and you see it on some vessels in like movies and things where they have like that, you know, these big sort of looking things, and it just looks really, really nice. And I want to try and do that myself, because I haven't seen it done too much in Space Engineers. I've seen small tables but never anything quite big, so I'm gonna have to try and work that out, but I'm sure I can do it. So yeah, tucked away underneath, sort of armoured up as well, are the jump drives, and these are critical for the ship's movement, because it will be moving around and going large distances, and those will help it so that it can do a series of jumps to get to a place rather than having to fly for a couple of years to get somewhere, which is great. So yeah, that is the majority of the ship. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just jump in the craft and have a planet below us, and I'm just going to fly it down a little bit. Now notice it isn't actually that bad at flying. I'm actually 60, 70, 80, 90. I'm already up to speed. I'm already to full speed, which is bonkers. And I'm going to slow down again now. The ship's kind of reverbs a little bit when it slows down because of the stopping noise, which is like a doo noise, which is just really, really loud in these speakers, headphones things. But what we'll do is we will level her out and slow her down to a stop. There we go. And then what we're going to do is going to jump out, and we're going to run to the escape pods, which can work without gravity because they do have their own propulsion systems in space. But it is probably best to have some sort of gravity well pulling you in, because it's just easier that way. Now I haven't worked out the timer blocks for this procedure yet properly, but what I want to do is I want to have a button or like a panel here, and what this does is you can basically close the doors. I want to be able to depressurize the air vents like so. So those will depressurize hopefully. Yep, there we go. And then what I want to do is I want to have the ability to open up the doors, which you open them up individually like so. And these are the escape pods. They carry 2 people each. There's 8, so there's 16 overall, which is quite a lot, I think. Yeah, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, so 16. Yeah. So I think that's quite a lot really for a ship of its kind, and you know, that's more than enough. And what these have is they have an oxygen generator on them. They have some thrusters as well to manipulate themselves. They have some cargo capacity as well as some reactors and a battery so they can recharge. So yeah, they're pretty self-sufficient, and what you do is you jump into them and you have this lovely view of the planet below, and we have a timer block which is 7. If you press 7 you get a 5-second countdown, and what this does is it will turn on the thrust, and all you have to do then is hit 5 and it releases you, and this will basically push you away from the ship using those thrusters. You can then control them and turn them on and off when you want to. So if you are in a gravity well, you might not need them, but it depends how quickly you need to get out of dodge. They don't get up to speed that quickly, these. Again, it's you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's like 6 seconds every 10 meters a second. So it isn't that bad, but you know, it's good enough. And I like these little vessels. They're very easy to control, very nippy, and you can sort of wibble them around and whatever. But yeah, what we'll do is we will just push on away from the vessel, from the Seabird, as I'm calling it at the moment, and we'll get it on the floor and just show you guys that it will stop, and it actually stops with good time. So what we'll do is we'll release the inertia dampeners so we can actually build up a bit more speed, and we'll turn off the thrust so we can, because weirdly enough, when you have your inertia dampeners still on but you've got thrust and you've got thrusters turned on as well, space engineers won't push the ships to 104.4 meters a second. They'll only push to 100. So if I were to turn the thrusters back on, it goes back to 100 and it brakes and gets rid of that 4.4 meters a second, which is just really bizarre. But yeah, you have all the control on the ship, so you can, you know, toggle around with which thrusters you want on and off. You do have atmospheric thrusters on by default. That is just a safety thing, so you have got them on so you brake as soon as possible. But if you want to, say, brake a couple of 100 meters before you hit the planet, you can do, and I'll actually prove that in a second. So actually turn inertia dampeners back on, and we're about 3,000 meters away from the floor now, and I should be able to turn this on around about 500 and it should stop. We should like cleanly come to a stop, and this is where I'm going to eat my words and I'm going to blow up in a massive fiery plume of smoke. But okay, here we go. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop. So they overloaded a little bit, you know, and all that other gubbins. It didn't stop near as quickly as I said it was going to, but you know, it works. It does its job, and I actually think having the armor sort of flush with the actual cockpits sort of helps it protect the cockpits in a way, because if you have to make sure you hit the planet sort of flat on, because if you don't and you catch one and not the other, you know, you can do some damage to it. But we'll lay it flat like this. There we go. I actually think that kind of helps. But yeah, it's a nice little thing. It's not heavy armor, it's just light armor because I want it to be as cheap as possible to make. But no, I like it. I really like these little ships. They're quite helpful and nifty. And again, there's 8 of them on Seabird, so it's very useful, and a nice little feature, I think. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed seeing what project I'm working on currently. Some of the other ones have been kind of put on hold or just scrapped because I wasn't really keen on the way they looked, and some of the lessons I learnt from that, as well as some of the things I've been seeing from these other ships from the UESC contest, have been sort of helping me develop this, and I've changed things and added things and moved things around a lot, and yeah, I think it's coming on quite nicely. So if you guys have enjoyed this, drop a comment below, tell me what you love, what you don't like, what you'd like to be changed. If you have a good name for the ship, drop it in the comment section as well, and I will take it on board. And if there's a really good suggestion for a name, I will happily I'll happily give it that name, because again, it doesn't have a name at the moment. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't, you know where the freaking button is. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.